Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Most people, unfortunately, know me for one thing and one thing only. SpongeBoy me Bob! But before I was even monetized, I had something else to offer. My own original cartoons. From ongoing shows to standalone shorts, I had enough of my own animated content to fill my portfolio. And I did. But once around mid to late 2023 hit, they just disappeared. So I wanted to make this video going over all of my projects, what happened to them, the future of them on the channel, and maybe even share some new ideas I came up with or visit some previous ones I mentioned. Before we go over this show by show, I wanted to answer the why. Plain and simple. I'm burned out. I used to try to make one original cartoon a year, with some trailers and bonus content relating to it sprinkled in. Making original content almost completely alone is difficult, especially the animation. Plus, everyone who has joined my project are either friends or simply volunteering. Since even though I make a decent amount of money on YouTube, it's not enough to pay for every person who works on my projects. Currently, I don't even have enough to pay rent. That's the reason for all the recasts, by the way. Plus, I can't keep friends even if my life depended on it. Since animation is a lengthy process, and since I'm sick of relying on other people other than VA, since I sorta need those, you do not want me to voice all the female characters. I want to streamline the process of my cartoons before I come back, figuring out how to cut corners in any way I can to keep a consistent quantity so my next project doesn't get overshadowed by the almighty Spig. I was on the right track with using 3D models for my backgrounds since the beginning, but I've been also trying to make character rigs for my 2D shows, so I don't have to draw everything from scratch. Before people worry about the final project looking cheaper, I won't lie, it might. But I'll do my best to make sure the rig shows are more Hilda and less Johnny Test. Maybe I should use Mickey Mouse as a better comparison. Enough backstory. Let's discuss cartoons I've already made and the future of them. The Grunge Bunch Chronicles. I'm starting with Grunge Bunch since it's the cartoon with the most views. Thanks, by the way. For those who don't know, Grunge Bunch stars the crazy and rebellious Cringy, her sane roommate Laurel, and their stoner alien friend Dabby. They smoke weed and decided to start a rock band to pay tribute to the recently retired The Butt Sniffers. The reason for retirement? Cringy. Episode 1 was the project that led me to being burned out. Despite all the shortcuts, it took almost 2 years, the longest production of any of my cartoons. Not only that, but it was the longest as well, clocking in at around 15 minutes. Part 2 was honestly a slog to get through production-wise, and I don't remember why. I think I just wanted to start hiatus already. That's why it looks a little rushed compared to the first half. Plus the shift to rig animation, which you could actually see in subtle ways in the latter scenes in part 1. For a while, I thought I could just go, okay, I can continue where I left off after hiatus. Well, not completely. After production of episode 1, over 10 crew members cut ties with me. It's reached a point where I only have 3 to 4 people on my team, which means I have a ton of characters I had that I have to completely scrap. Plus many ideas that I either have to retool or scrap. And the most recasts of any show I have created, period. Laurel and all 4 members of the Butt Sniffers band need new voices. Though in Drew's case, maybe that's for the best. People did say that his voice was unfitting. Also, the music was difficult since the beginning, which is bad when you want to make a show about stoner rock stars. Music is a big part of it, and the most I know about music is very limited knowledge of FL Studios. Plus, the only musician I have is more techno as well. So, with all these factors, the recast, the retooling, and the lack of musicians, I think I should temporarily cancel Grunge Bunch. This project went through production hell to get where it is today, and I am proud of how it came out despite this. And I know for certain that I want to revisit Cringy Laurel and Dabby's misadventures. But for now, I'd rather postpone it until I have the resources I need to make it the best it can be. Plus, I want to figure out how the show will look going forward. I have an idea for this cell animated paper cutout sort of vibe, definitely going for something nostalgic here, to better integrate the collage vibe we went for in the pilot. I'm still working out the kinks and finding ways to streamline the process. However, I have considered making bite-sized comics/shorts starring the Grunge Bunch cast, such as one focusing on Dabby and his ghost roommates, Jacob and Lavender. So, if that's something you'd be interested in, comment below. Another random day. Since this was my first cartoon period, of course this has the most content. 4 episodes, multiple shorts, comics, even a Q&A spin-off where people mistook the main character for me. That's why Sab 2.0/Strawberry Sab was created. And later, me, Sab 3.0. If the last one was Strawberry Sab, I guess I'm Cotton Candy Sab. ARD is a slice-of-life show about Sab and his unique set of friends just having another random day. They live in the country of Subnicon, go to school at Educational Jail, and have an underground hangout that Sab created from scratch. This show was rough. The first episode looked like ass. And since I was 15 when I made it, I didn't even think about the ramifications of how creepy some things were in these episodes. Despite all of this, I'm still proud of ARD. We all have to start somewhere, and a lot of the ideas were a great start. The reason why I stopped was because Grunge Bunch was taking my time, plain and simple. When I work on one big project, I hold another due to being the only animator, outside of the few times where I had some extra help. Thank you guys. Second, I honestly want to start over. I tried keeping the original show's continuity, but after a while, the issues kept piling up. So I thought it would be best to reboot it. The big issues I want to fix is not sexualizing fucking teenagers, and to change the cast of characters. Don't get me wrong, I still like the characters I've created. They bounce off of each other well despite being nothing alike. And I want to keep that original charm. The problem is that everyone is based on real high school friends I've had, right down to the first names. Used to be last names, but thankfully the person who inspired Jasmine hit me on the head with a newspaper and went, "No. Bam! Too bad I kept my own full name in the second episode! So I want to redesign the characters to less reflect their real-world counterparts. Some actually don't reflect them anymore since, people change. But this could be a fun creative experiment. I've made some concept art for ARD, The Misfits of Subnicon. Name not final. Trying to figure out how the characters would look, who would stay, who would go, etc. I've even been experimenting with backgrounds, figuring out ways to make them blend in with the cast better. During the original run, people kept saying how the background severely clashed with the characters, and even with my best efforts to better integrate them, I 100% agree. It was very rough, although my vision was to have them smooth. I recently did an animation where the SpongeBob voice cast read espresso. That was actually a test to see how this new smooth line style could work. It's not perfect, but I at least wanted to try. I'm sure this is disappointing to some, but I'm hoping this new wave of ARD will be better than the original. Plus, I have just about every VA on speed dial. Okay, other than Brett, but he was already on his way out regardless. Gami and Marshy. This short came and went. I always planned on making a sequel. The VA for Gami even pitched one that I adore. But just like ARD, I was working on bigger projects. Plus, I'll be honest, I'm not proud of how the original looks at all. It's a glitchy and unfinished looking mess. And the low poly background look I was going for only worked for the little candy things. But that's solely because they're icospheres. There's lots of ideas we have for Gami and Marshy, but I want to completely overhaul the art direction first. When I took digital painting in college, I made this landscape art that I'm still proud of. You can find it on Redbubble. Please buy it on Redbubble. This made me go, holy shit, this show can look gorgeous? So this is the background direction I am striving for. And I recently made concept art for how the characters could look, trying out 3 flavors. I couldn't decide which one I liked best, so I did a poll. And you guys voted for realism. To be fair, That was my favorite Gami out of all of them. Another thing I was struggling with is if I wanted to simply move on to the next installment or remake the first episode. People wanted a remake. I don't know when this will be made. I don't even know when this hiatus will be over, but I know I want to continue it. You got Game and What is Gib? These are shorts that never had a proper continuation. What is Gib had 2 other shorts before I pressed the upgrade button, but You Got Game only had 1 short. I know I want You Got Game to come back. I love the weird responses I got, and I need to come up with a way to bring it back. Due to the way it's animated, a sequel would be easy to pump out since the characters barely move. What is Gib is in a different camp, where I can see so much potential as to where it can go in, but I haven't figured out which direction to take it in. I know I want something as surreal as the original short, but maybe in a more serialized direction. I know for certain that the visuals won't look exactly the same, since What is Gib was made in Toon Boom Harmony for college, and I currently use Adobe Anime since it's in my budget range. But I don't think it would look too drastic. The worst change would probably be flat shading opposed to the blurry ones in Toon Boom, but I could theoretically do that in After Effects. The future of these 2 are unknown, but I'm still proud of both of them. Almost 6 years ago, I made a video discussing projects that I want to work on in the future. It only has 93 views, but most of the ideas were either bad or poorly explained regardless. So I want to briefly talk about these and the future that they have. I won't discuss Untitled Projects 2 and 3 from that video, since they're just generic ideas that never went anywhere. For good reason. They sucked. Untitled Project 1 isn't going to be worked on anytime soon, but I like how surreal the character designs are. Maybe a sketch comedy would fit them. Old Man James simply never went anywhere, and I don't think it ever will, to be honest, though I do like the idea of it being mixed media. My Girlfriend Zanetko always had an identity crisis that I never fixed. One minute, it's a raunchy adult comedy. The next minute, it's a cute comic show. Someone even pitched a detective story, but now, I don't know what it is anymore. Plus, now that I'm an adult, I was in high school when I thought of this, there's some weird implications that I have to figure out how to avoid. I didn't think a man dating a half-girl, half-cat would be bestiality. When she's human, she acts like a human. But when she's a cat, she acts like a cat. So if I continued this, I might have to rethink this whole thing. Or maybe even drop the love story altogether. Besides, the name My Girlfriend Zanetko is a forced anime-sounding title that not everyone will understand. The final project in the video was Savior of the Spirits, which has always been in limbo. Just like with Grunge Bunch, it's temporarily cancelled due to lack of resources. But the idea isn't as fucked up as I described it in the video. What the fuck was I thinking? In college, I reworked the story to be about the spider villain named Erica, who wants to harness Rosie's negative energy to grow more powerful, and to steal her necklace that takes her to the spirit world and the human world, so she can rule both. I'm still very passionate about this idea, and I especially love the characters I came up with. I even considered introducing Sots via a short starring Josephine. She was meant to be a side character in the human world, but every time I showed people her design, they instantly love her. So I thought a short starring her would be fun. Maybe I could do that one of these days. Either connected or disconnected from Sots. But for now, I'm not working on it right now, and when I do, I want it to be my magnum opus. To wrap up this video, here's some new ideas that I've come up with. Another midweek days. I briefly talked about this in a Sab Talk episode, but when talking to somebody that I worked with at the time, he stated that a lot of the side characters in Another Random Day can work in their own show. And to be honest, I full-heartedly agree. So AMD, a spin-off of ARD, was thought of. It's about a group of characters who run a potato club and often pester a doctor. It's meant to be a show similar to Uncle Grandpa or The Patrick Star Show, where it's very zany and comedy-driven. Stories could range from promoting the club via fries, or the world falling apart because of a plush rhinoceros dandruff shortage. It's really a throw things at the wall and sees what sticks show. I was pretty set on releasing this after Grunge Bunch, but since I want to reboot ARD, I might have to wait until that happens. Otherwise, this has nothing to spin off of. Plus, it has some of the same issues as the original, where some designs are based on existing people, though thankfully a lot of the names are different already. And I don't even have to touch Yerk, since she's only loosely inspired by her VA. I was also thinking of a South Park sort of vibe for the visuals, with choppy frame rate and a construction paper feel. I don't want the visuals to completely mimic South Park, cause most people fail to do it, so maybe Suction Cup Man from Pymations would have been a better example. I only have one other project that I have come up with. Sail. Name not final. I was on the bus to college on a rainy day, and for some reason thought about the cheesy fish with no eyes joke. Then it eventually led to this concept art of somebody fishing for sea creatures that looked like eyes. And now that it's put on paper, I think I can work with this. So I came up with some designs for some potential characters for this short, and a potential story. The idea I have right now is that the main character, Sail, works at a fish shop with his dad, but something leads him to a deserted island. So he has to find out how to get back to the pier with his dad, and figure out how he ended up there in the first place. I'm picturing the tone being more serious than some of my other work, perhaps even tackling themes of loneliness and isolation. Only time will tell. For visuals, I thought the surface being similar to a low-poly video game with muted colors could be cool, and having the ocean be more high quality and brighter neon colors would be a neat contrast. So that's where I am right now with my original cartoons. Long story short, I am taking a break due to lack of crew, a hint of perfectionism, and simply being burned out. However, I'm still passionate about cartoons, and I don't think I'll completely retire from them. I just need to rebuild and regain that previous motivation I once had. Which show do you wish could come back? Are there any of the new concepts you'd like to see? Comment below. And as always, it's all Sab from here.